Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Four Quarter Talk podcast with myself, Jack Brazil, and my co-host, Josh Musoke.
This podcast is going to be mainly centered on NBA talk, and today's topics are the exhibition season, reacting to the recent rankings from Bleach Report and Espn, the regular season awards, a bit of trivia, and our predictions for the weekend's games.
So a little background on ourselves. Me and Josh are both students at Solent University, and we both do sports journalism. And we're kind of the only two on our course that really talk about or like basketball. Everyone's very football, rugby focused, all more English sports. But me and Josh always find ourselves talking about basketball, and we thought, why?
All is live over here.
Yeah, literally. So
All is live.
maybe not for me because I'm trash at basketball, but you know. But we thought, why not combine the two and make a podcast? So, Josh, if you want to talk about how maybe you started watching basketball, how you got into it.
Yeah, so my background, I started playing before I started watching. So I started playing basketball around 12 years old. Been playing National League for a few years, but I gravitated towards NBA basketball specifically in the 2012 season.
Yeah. And
at first I wasn't supporting a team, but then quickly fell in love with OKC behind Russ and KD. Obviously, it's been a bit up and down since then, but yeah, I've expanded in who I've been watching, who I've been supporting, like individual players and things like that. So yeah, I did used to follow football quite a bit, but basketball is just taking number one for me pretty quickly.
Yeah. So with me, I've never ever played a game of basketball in my whole 19 years on this planet. But what I would say is that the thing that got me into it was 2K. I've been playing 2K since 14. And since then, it's just kind of snowballed into playing 2K, then going into real life basketball, and slowly getting more and more involved with basketball until I'm at the point where I am today. I would say I'm a fan of the Chicago Bulls. I use that term lightly because, you know, it's very it's pretty depressing. But, you know, we haven't had a good time with it. But I say the first player that drew me to basketball, like real life basketball, was Derrick Rose. So that's why I consider myself a Bulls fan. You know, it's not great what's happened to him and my franchise, but the only way is up. That's what I can say. The only way is up. So let's get into today's topics. We'll talk first about our takeaways from the exhibition games, the scrimmages. Josh, what have you found from watching the NBA scrimmages, and how grateful are you to have basketball back?
It's been a long wait.
Yeah,
it was getting hard. It was getting very hard. Reaching.
Yeah, my career can only be played so many times. Really.
Only so many times, especially on this trash game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was longer than normal off seasons even.
Literally.
But yeah, no, it's great to have ball back. One takeaway, obviously, the Nuggets. They kicked it off quite a strong way. In quite a strong way. So you got Bobo, who just, I mean, as a 44th pick, which I'm pretty sure
can't get much better.
I mean, normally you have steals that no one really knows about, like Donovan Mitchell, but Bobo's a case where I'm pretty sure a lot of people were like pretty perplexed about how he fell so far. I mean, he was even invited as a lottery pick, so it was a bit confusing. I'd viewed him for a couple of years because he played with Shaq's son.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be a surefire lottery pick, but yeah, he's showing out right now. Definitely in a big way.
Yeah, it's a very similar situation to what happened with Michael Porter Jr. really on the Nuggets. You know, both top players coming out of high school, predicted top 10 picks in the draft, and then bit of derailment with their careers with injuries, some pretty severe injuries, and now here they are both on the Denver Nuggets and just killing it, both of them. You know, it's pretty strange that no one took a punt on these players. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. only fell to 14, which is not as extreme as 44 in Bobo's case.
I mean, the Clippers had 2 picks before him and didn't take a chance one time. It almost reminds me of how two point guards were taken before Steph Curry.
Yeah.
By Minnesota.
Hopefully for the Clippers, it doesn't turn out the same way. But hopefully
In
for
the
us, it
Clippers
does,
game,
really.
OKC, Shea, so a few hours in the draft.
Still talking about that. Yeah.
But
But
then, yeah, sticking with the Nuggets, though.
yeah.
So you got skinny Jokic, Nikola
Yeah,
Jokic.
Skinny Jokic is different. Skinny Jokic is
But
different.
right now,
A lot of
he's struggling a
turnovers,
bit.
but
He's a lot of turnovers.
in the long run, you have to feel it will be good for him. Obviously, his athleticism.
Yeah.
Because he was
And then
packing
just
weight.
the big. Yeah. But in a way, it could have helped him as well with his size and being able to bully in the post.
True.
But I guess that's not too much of his game. Then overall, their lineup that they debuted with, their big lineup.
That was a 2K lineup. If you've ever seen it,
that was a 2K lineup. Like what, shortest player like 6'8",
Jeremy
and
Garnett,
Jokic in the backcourt.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and you have to think that's going to be, if they stick to that, that's going to be pretty interesting considering that the Rockets are a strong possibility to match up with them in the playoffs. So seeing the two
polar opposites, really, isn't it?
Of really going up against each other. That's going to be interesting because you have.
But do you think they'll run that big lineup in the playoffs? I don't think they will.
I feel like they were experimenting, but you have to think that it's a possibility that we'll see that for some if it keeps providing, like if it keeps being successful for them. Yeah. But obviously we'll have to see, because everything that we've seen in this, as exciting as it's been to see this exhibition.
Yeah, you got to remember that only
season right now. Yeah, it's a pinch of salt. Like there's a lot of experimentation going on right now, similar to the preseason.
All right. My biggest takeaway, I'd have to say, is the Lakers. The Lakers have looked very good.
Yeah, that was my second point. Incredible.
And for me, the biggest takeaway, Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith have looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, they look incredible.
Pretty damn good.
J.R. Smith was out of the league for a whole year.
And he just come back, hasn't missed a beat. Literally, hasn't missed a beat.
Feels like he just got punished for that one play in the finals.
Yeah. And also thrown super at a coach and other things. But,
that's part of it.
But they do look really good, and you can't look far past them as favourites to the title, really, on current form. Obviously, it's not going to be an easy run, but I think everyone would love to see the Lakers win the title for Kobe.
I feel like, especially because that was my second, and to my third, about the Clippers, I feel like the Lakers have really separated themselves. Yeah. Because going into lockdown, I feel like they were more of a secure team. That the Clippers had more potential because of their depth and just like who they'd acquired right before. But I feel like the Lakers are really benefiting from the chemistry that they had leading up to it and the leadership from LeBron. Yeah. Because the Clippers, they're seeming to be falling apart right now because they've got Lou Will make it in and out of the bubble, with his quick trip to
chicken wings,
For the wings.
For the wings.
And then not just him though. You've got Montrezl Harrell, you got Patrick Beverley. They're out. Yeah. They're not going to be playing in this weekend's game. So, and then Kawhi, even though he's one of the players that are in the bubble, but he's struggling quite significantly so far. Obviously, it is just preseason and Russ will show, but I think he's shooting like 22% from the field, like 11% from three. Mm-hmm. It is only 3 games though.
Yeah, you'd have to think concerning. With a player of Kwai Leonard's quality that he would get back to the level that he performs at and that we saw in last year's playoff. But it's not a guarantee.
Well, I trust, of course, I trust Kawhi, and I feel like come playoff time he will be ready. But he's not the problem. He's not who I'm thinking of right now. If you look at the Clippers as a whole, even though they've got the positioning in terms of being a second seed, but they need this period to get ready because they haven't had much overall as a season. They've had less than 20 games together healthy to develop chemistry, and they've had their acquisitions. They signed Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson. List goes on. So they've got a collection of talent right now, but they haven't got a team.
They've got to gel it.
In the sense that the Lakers, who seems to be a real
unit, they all know their roles.
So
they all know the playbook.
That's notable.
That could be the difference, really, couldn't it, between the Lakers and the Clippers?
And not even for the Western Conference Finals, though. I feel like that's going to be the difference between other teams creeping up and getting in a way of the LA Western Conference Finals because teams that are lower seeded, but they're quite dangerous, like the Dallas Mavericks, in terms of matchups and being a lower seed, that could be a team that is dangerous for a team in the Clippers that aren't really like hitting on their potential right now.
It's true. But I think the Mavericks will be a problem for whatever team they get in the first round.
For sure. But they're a very dangerous 7th seed.
Yeah,
very dangerous.
Literally. I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of any 7th seed in NBA history that is quite as dangerous as a team that has one of a historic
best offense of all time.
Literally, and they have
incredible.
Probably they have a generational player in Luka Doncic who puts up a 30-point triple-double most nights. And
second year top 5 MVP candidate. I would
put him in there. And then they've got players like Kristaps Porzingis, who's one of the best stretch fives in the league, and then they have some really elite role players in Tim Hardaway Jr. The bench isn't so great, but that starting 5 is very dangerous. So if the Clippers run into that in the first round, they could be in some trouble. Could really be in some trouble.
Okay, my final.
Go on.
My final thing is, it's not even, because obviously being an OKC fan, Roberson showing out, but my main thing, not even exhibition.
Going right. Rachel Demeter's going right.
But not even exhibition though. Just the bubble and so far. It's just how they've handled everything compared to other professional sports. I mean, other leagues seem in trouble in terms of restarting, and the NBA are kind of leading the way in the same way that they led the way in shutting down the season, because they've just posted 0 positive tests heading into the first game back. So
credit for that, I think has to go to Adam Silver, the commissioner. I think he's a credit to the NBA really. In the way they've tackled this situation, and in the way they've also been tackling the current political things that are going on right now in the world. They've been one of the trailblazers in that front. So credit has to go to him for that.
Yeah, doing what Adam Silver at every opportunity, he seems to separate himself from other leagues.
Literally. So shout out to Adam Silver.
Progressive. Yeah. Shout out.
My final takeaway from the bubble. I'm not sure if many people are talking about this, but the Portland Trailblazers. Mm-hmm. So obviously we all know there's that fight for the 8th seed going on, and it looks rigged in favor of the Pelicans a little bit.
Zion,
just a little bit. I don't want to call cheating or anything, but just a little bit. It looks a bit rigged.
Yeah.
But then, you look at the Trailblazers, who now have a fit Yusuf Nurkic back. Obviously, they
basically got their whole team back. Yeah,
they do have a tough run-in though. Got the Grizzlies tomorrow, the Celtics, the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Sixers, and I think the Lakers. No, they don't have the Lakers. But yeah, they do have a very tough run-in. So that
I think they have the toughest schedule of remaining of people challenging for that AFC. Yeah.
But having said that, they are a very talented team, and having Yusuf Nurkic back, I feel like Nurkic was such a hole in their lineup when he was out, and having someone who can just play some bully ball inside when Dame and CJ's perimeter game isn't working will benefit them massively, and also grab some rebounds. So, I think he had a very good game the other night. Let me just check. Hold on. So he should come in and be an absolute boost for that unit. But as we did say, that is a crazy hard schedule. Crazy.
I just feel like, as much as obviously injuries is the main thing, Dame's been going out of his mind this season, of course, as well. But I feel like
nice in the bubble as well.
Oh yeah. That
step back was
that was clean. But I feel like the downfall of the Blazers is their defense, really.
Yeah.
And as much as they're getting their players back, I feel like letting go of Aminu and Harkless last off season, that's kind of exposed a lot of their defensive issues, because even the acquisition of Melo, it helped boost them in some way, offensively, of course, but
he's not
they haven't been able throughout the whole season. They haven't been able to address their defensive issues. I feel like that's gonna stop them, because even if they do make the playoffs, I don't feel like, even though they have probably the most established player out of all of the teams that are challenging for the 8th seed, I don't feel like they provide the biggest threat to the Lakers. Obviously, none of them are going to beat the Lakers, but even to take a game, I feel like the best matchup to do so is the Grizzlies because...
Okay. I would say personally the Pelicans are probably more dangerous to the Lakers. But
I feel you. Yeah. Zion is he's a matchup problem that we haven't really seen in the NBA. But I feel like as a direct matchup, just having their point of attack, the Grizzlies' point of attack, be at the guard position, which they don't have much, which the Lakers don't have much for. But then also, Jaren Jackson Jr. He's quite a matchup problem as well because you've got Ja attacking the rim, but then you've also got Jackson pulling with his 3-point shooting, being able to pull AD out of the paint. And then also he's a great defender himself as well, so he's gonna make AD work. So
for real.
I feel like they are a threat to take a game or two.
That would cause a lot of problems for Lakers. I do agree, but for me, the Pelicans, they just have a few more weapons. You know, they've got Zion. Zion.
I feel like they're right there with each other.
You know, he's athletic freak. You got Brandon Ingram who can put the ball on the floor and create his own shot, score on anyone really. And then you've got what's his name? Drew Holiday. That's it. Sorry, my bad.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday. I think he's a very underrated player on both sides of the ball.
Every player says he's the most underrated player.
Yeah, literally. So I think that can be a real problem for whoever they match up if they get it.
And to be honest, that's the matchup we all want to see.
Yeah,
that's the matchup we all want to see because you're talking about
almost. Really,
and there's so many storylines that could come from that. Pass of the torch, Zion versus LeBron.
Yeah.
You've got all of the trade, the dynamic
Brandon
of the AD
Ingram,
trade.
Lonzo coming back to LA.
All of them going up against them. It'd be a spectacle.
And it looks like the NBA are setting that up, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait.
If only there were fans for that one. But yeah.
All right, let's go into our next topic, reacting to the Bleach report and the ESPN rankings. And I have to say, there is a few dodgy things. For me, looking at both rankings, I'd say the Bleach report ranking is a lot stronger, personally.
Okay, I'd say in general, I don't know about that. I feel like
dodgy things, of course, but I don't know.
Okay, to be fair, when going through it, actually, I've got it here.
So should we go through it? Let's go through it.
Yeah. You give me the Bleach report.
I'll go.
I've got that ESPN.
I'll go with Bleach report. So number one is unsurprisingly Giannis Antetokounmpo. No surprises there, really. For me, he's been the stand-up player in the NBA this season. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, 100%. Number two, also unsurprisingly, is LeBron James. I feel like these two could go either way for some people and have been the two best players in the NBA this season. At three, you got Kwai Leonard, maybe a bit high for me. James Harden at four.
Yeah, to be fair.
Luka at five. Jokic at six. Dame at 7, AD at 8, which I think that's very disrespectful. But Jimmy Butler at 9 and Chris Middleton at 10, which is wild.
Okay, so all right, looking at the list, I see what you mean. Because to be honest, I gravitated straight towards the crazy things. But yeah, the Bleach report, they have at their more conventional spots, they have a better list. But I feel like they have more crazy things, but I guess that could just be to bring in that discussion. But for the most part, I agree with most of it. So in comparison, we've got the ESPN list. You have Giannis at first, of course. Kawhi at second.
Okay.
To be fair, they've got a few. I feel like their list isn't too predicated on this season. Because they've got injured players.
They got Steph Curry.
No, they've got Steph Curry in there. So yeah, I guess if you look at it's hard because you kind of just have to rank for this season, or it's a bit. Okay, so they've got LeBron third, Harden fourth, AD fifth, Curry sixth, Jokic seventh, Embiid at 8, Dame at 9, Paul George at 10. So, and then right outside of the top 10, they've got Kyrie and Westbrook.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so
yeah.
I do see, looking at this ESPN list, I think it's not as bad as I first thought, but some of the placings are wrong. Like Kawhi at 2, I think the top 2 is.
If you're just basing on this season, you can't. I feel like Kawhi is the type of player that he's the type of player that will stand out in the playoffs. But if you're going on this season, you can't give someone that like load managers all the time, barely does it. Like, we know how good Kawhi is, but
of course.
Production does matter.
Yeah.
But to be honest, so these are my notables for the 2 lists because obviously we've just said top 10. Yeah. So with the key notable things from both lists, I've got Bleacher Report having Zach LaVine at 44th. Russ 22nd behind Lowry.
That is massive.
Middleton in the top 10, which is it's a bit confusing.
Wild.
And then of course ESPN, they've got Brandon Ingram not in their top 50 despite having Aaron Gordon and Kevin Love.
Wow.
And Luka at 16th. Luka at 16th.
I think with these type of lists, I think a lot of what you have to take into consideration is that these are media companies that are looking for clicks and reaction. So having Luka Doncic at 16, everyone's going to think that's absolutely insane, but you do have to take that into consideration. For me, with the Bleach Report list, I think when you said about Westbrook and Lowry and Middleton in the top 10, it looks like they've maybe prioritized team importance a bit more. Would you agree?
I think no. I don't think it's that, because I did read into it because I was very like I needed answers, and I feel like the Bleacher Report one is really metric based, like analytical.
Okay.
I feel like that's what went into it, because even with importance, I feel like Westbrook has helped a lot with, because Harden's had obviously a great scoring season, but he's had low points in efficiency, and Westbrook's picked up, especially in this calendar year. And then with Lowry's really important, and he does, the intangible things. But that team has been, which is why kind of foreshadows into my voting section. But I feel like Nick Nurse is quite responsible for a lot of their for their winning, because he's had to do with pretty much every major player in that lineup has been in and out due to injury. So I don't feel like it's more of a. I feel like that's a team effort. So I can't justify it. I can't justify that one.
So seeing as we've criticised their list, I think it's only fair that we give our own top 10. So let's go straight into that, and let's start number one. I say we go.
Oh, let's start at 10. Let's start at 10.
Let's start at 10.
Let's wind down.
Okay. Who you got number 10?
Yeah. So I struggled with 10. I struggled with 10.
Okay.
I can't lie, because we do need to say that we made ours. We're basing it 100% on this season.
Yeah.
And how players have played this season.
Yeah. 100%.
So 10 was hard for me. I had PG/CP3.
Okay.
Which, to be honest, I might just put the PG thing is kind of just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And his ability and talent, but he hasn't done much this season to
he's
really prove that.
He's underwhelmed.
He's underwhelmed. You'll take me off PG pretty easily.
Yeah.
But CP3, I just feel like what's his stats?
A little bit of bias, maybe. I mean, towards CP3.
I mean, he's a top 5. Where would you think he'd be in the MVP discussion? I feel like if you're top 5 in the MVP discussion, then you can't not be in the top 10.
Okay.
He will finish with at least top 5 in that ladder. So I feel like you have to, just based on that.
He personally didn't make my list. At number 10, I had Russell Westbrook. I think from the start of the year, from the turn of the year, he's been on fire. Back to MVP Westbrook form. And that
Even better, to be honest.
coincided with a downturn in James Harden's form as well. So he's done well to keep the Rockets afloat, and he fits into that small ball system like a glove. Really, he's perfect for that system, I think. So I have Russell Westbrook at 10. Number 9, who do you have at number 9?
I've got Nikola Jokic.
Okay, I have Joel Embiid. I have Joel Embiid at 9. Why Jokic at 9?
Higher? Have you got Jokic higher?
I don't want to spoil anything.
I mean, okay. All right. Yeah, I feel like Jokic, if we were to just do, because I feel like he struggled going into the season.
Yeah.
He's a type of player, which it's great that he's made this physical transformation over the lockdown period.
Yeah,
because
of course.
He's the type of player that seems to come into the seasons out of shape and then play his way into shape. And that kind of that put the Nuggets in a pretty tough spot because they struggled to start the season and he wasn't performing.
Yeah.
Coming into the season, a lot of people had him as an MVP candidate, because they think that they'd be able to build off because they finished quite high last season and they think that he'd take off this year. So it was a bit disappointing to see how he started the year. But of course, as the year's gone off, he has returned back to that form.
Yeah, he's been insane. Really.
I do have to judge him a bit for that, for the way he kicked off the start of the season.
For me, Joel Embiid at 9. Points wise, he's having a bit of a down year, but that could be attributed to Ben Simmons getting more control of the offense and getting more shots up. But I just think he again, you know what you're going to get from Joel Embiid. You're going to get good interior defense. You're going to get aggressive offense mixed with a 3-point style which he can hit. He's hitting 35% of his threes this season, so he's having a career year. Actually, no, in his rookie season he shot better, but he's having a very good year from the 3-point line. I think, he's just a crazy talented player in the NBA. He's just, definitely top 10 for me. Number 8.
See, I had Embiid outside of my top 10 because he struggled a bit scoring wise. And I feel like there's been too many games where he's kind of been a non-factor, and we thought, because you've even had Shaq and Charles Barkley calling for him to be more assertive. Of course, that goes with the struggle they've had fit-wise with Embiid, with Ben Simmons, and that's been a battle. But I feel like he hasn't asserted himself as much this year, and then of course the injuries as well, which has always plagued him. So I feel like that's what's put him outside my top 10. He's a top 10 talent, but I feel like the production this year doesn't justify top 10.
That's a question the Sixers are going to have to answer sooner or later. Can Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid coexist?
I feel like they've done a good job. Brett Brown probably saved his job making the adjustment, because one good thing that did come from their injury is that they were able to give Shake Milton an opportunity. Yeah. He's proved to be a reliable starting point guard, and they've now moved Ben Simmons to the 4. So that might having Ben Simmons and Embiid in that front court might provide them with a more a better fit.
Yeah,
that could help them in the long run.
You got a number 8, bro?
Westbrook.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see why you got him.
So
there.
I feel
a bit more biased. I'm joking.
More biased.
He deserves that.
I feel like
I'd say.
I feel like it's been overblown about him struggling a lot at the start, and then I feel like he did struggle because everyone knew they would struggle at the start. Like, they're fit, and to be honest, they probably still they haven't quite found a way to both be elite at the same time. But I feel like from the end of November up until the lockdown, well, a few games prior to that, I feel like Russ has really stepped it up.
Yeah.
And and as I said earlier, I feel like his production's been better than his MVP season, because he seems more mature, and he's taken out those bad shots, the 3-pointers that out of his arsenal and just really focused on his strengths
driving
and
to the
minimize his
rim.
weaknesses.
Yeah. One thing you have to say when you mention Westbrook this season, though, he is having an awful time at the 3-point line. And you briefly mentioned it there. It can be seen as a blessing and a curse for him and the Rockets. You know, he's focused more on driving to the rim, and as a result, he's shooting the ball very well, better than we've seen him shoot it overall, field goal percentage wise. But he's getting a bit more disrespected on that 3-point line now, which is something that's never good, and especially for how Houston run their offense.
Also with that as well is that a lot of that is from him kind of being reluctant to stop shooting at the start of the season. So he had quite high frequency. But if you look at a lot of the games since then, because he's brought down his averages of attempts right down to about 3, probably 2 is more accurate. Yeah. And now at a low frequency, he's shooting. Obviously, he's never going to be a great shooter, but he's shooting respectably, like with low attempts, which can be decent. But obviously, it will definitely be an issue in the playoffs if he keeps getting disrespected.
Yeah. At number 8, I have Nikola Jokic. I think he is unique talent in the NBA, in the history of the NBA. Only a few players have ran an offense like he can from the center spot. And he, as you said, he did at the start, he did struggle a little bit in his, especially in his scoring. He wasn't scoring very much, but since then he's been back to the old Jokic that everyone knows. 20 points per game, 10 rebounds, 7 assists from the center spot is just insane, really.
Insane.
And definitely, for me, he's the best center in the NBA.
Definitely, 100%.
And I think the Nuggets going forward are going to be a very scary proposition for the NBA. I think they have the best young core in the league, and he spearheads that very well and he's going to lead them hopefully to some success. Number 7? Do you want to go to number 7? Or do you have anything to say about
AD?
Oh, okay.
No, because I had him at 9th, so I've already spoken.
Oh, that is
I've got AD at 7.
That is very interesting.
Is that quite high for you? Or low? I mean,
bro, I told you. I'm
not for you personally.
Anything.
I'm just saying. So AD. That's a tough one for me because he's a high talent. Okay.
Yeah.
There's my 5 to 7 is pretty switchable for me, to be honest. Those 3 are like interchangeable.
Yeah.
So he could easily have been 5. I just feel like with AD, he relies a lot. Well, okay, let's talk about the positives first. So his scoring output, his whole overall talent has translated to a winning team. So that's been the knock on him for a few years, that he's been on losing teams that have had like decent talent in some years and like not so great in other years. But he's definitely excelled in his role. And him and LeBron are a perfect fit. They aid each other in a lot of different ways. Agree with that. And he's both. I'm not sure. Maybe an MVP candidate, but not really. But he's in that top 10 just based on their team success. Yeah. But he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for sure. In that top 3 for that, maybe top 2.
Yeah. So I say definitely top 2 for Defensive Player of the Year. I think the way he's came in,
him and Giannis.
The way he's come in and he's helped that Lakers defense tremendously. I mean, they were always a team that could score, but defensively, they were kind of a non-factor last year. But this year, I feel like the impact he's had is just insane. Like he's literally taken them from a team that's been out the playoffs to the favorites for the NBA title. I mean, So I do think he's gonna the switch.
No, not to do with that. Not with AD. Not with AD.
Okay.
The 2 I had ahead of him, I'm just switching them around.
Okay. I'll give you my 7 in the meantime. This does feel a bit harsh, but I think the names I have above him are justified to be ahead of him. I've gone with Damian Lillard at 7.
Ooh. I mean, he's part of that 3 that I have.
Yeah. So Damian Lillard's numbers: 29 points per game, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, career highs in points, and I think assists. Hold on. Yeah, career highs in points and assists. We all know what talent Damian Lillard has. You know, he's a lot of his output depends on the success of the Trailblazers. If he's not firing, the Trailblazers aren't firing. But having said that, the Trailblazers this season.
This season, even if he is firing, they're not firing.
The Trailblazers have definitely struggled this season. So that's why I can't have him higher than 7th. Because his team are out the playoffs at the moment. And he's just like individually, obviously his season is amazing, but it has not translated into team success. So I feel 7 is harsh, but I cannot put him above the guys I've got there. I feel like his output has just been insane. Yeah.
And so you read out his scoring output and all that, but just his efficiency has been insane to me. Like 55% plus for a guard is insane. Like that, those are center numbers. Literally. Then also, I feel like, I mean, as an OKC fan, like me defending him, but the injuries, he's just done a lot. He's done a lot with not much.
Yeah,
there hasn't been much consistency. CJ McCollum, he got his big deal over the summer, and since then hasn't been the same. He's been really inconsistent, very inconsistent. So I feel like Dame's been the one consistent thing about that squad. Yeah. And then also, they've had to integrate loads of different pieces, signing Melo, recently signing Trevor Ariza. Yeah. And then also, he still got them in a spot where if the season ended right now, there would be a play-in game to get them into the playoffs. So we're not talking Trae Young here, great numbers and, bottom
empty
of the league.
Stats.
Like he is still
not empty stats. I don't like using that term, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah. So there is a bit of success. It is still the Western Conference. It's a tough race. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number 6.
Yeah. So this is a switch I made. I had Dame at 6 before.
Okay.
But then I switched. I've put Harden at 6 actually. Okay. Now. Yeah.
I also have Harden at 6.
Yeah, because I feel like with Harden, with the mix of his talent, and because he, as an offensive talent, he's all time. Like he is in that discussion. But I feel like his efficiency has dropped off significantly this year. He's had several games, of the tune of like 3 for 12, 5 for 20,
and he had that really rough patch where he has some like
several in a row.
2 for 17 type games like.
I saw on Twitter they were saying it looked like tour dates, like concert tour dates.
He was.
It wasn't pretty at all.
He was basically depending on his free throws, getting to the line for points at that stage. And
but that's the thing though, like just how reliable his scoring is. The fact that he can get to the line, he has that ability, and then also with this list, as much as we do stick this year, you do have like there is that mix between production and talent, and you can't. He's an undeniable talent, so I kind of have to have him at least near that top 5.
I mean, we're saying he's having a bit of a rough season, but he's still averaging 34 points per game.
Yeah, I
mean, when you say all-time scoring talent, he's right up there. He's just crazy. His output is just insane. Number 5.
I had Dame, but we already spoke about that.
I had Luka Doncic at 5. This one is another. 5 and 4 for me could go either way, but I've put Luka here. I put Luka here. Obviously, Luka is an all-time talent for a young player. Not many people have put up his type of stats. No,
he's near 30-point triple-double.
Yeah, literally in his second season, that is just mind-blowing. That is literally
high efficiency.
That is my career numbers. Literally, like he's an insane talent, but again,
he's leading the best offense in the league.
Leading the best offense in the league.
Near league history. Yeah.
But again, although his team is in the playoffs, but the people I have above him are serious title favorites. So that's why I couldn't put him above them. But I think talent-wise alone, he's a top 3 player in the NBA.
You haven't said AD yet, have you?
I haven't said AD.
So you have interesting. Yeah, I've got Luka at 4. So yeah, so you can give your 4 then.
My number 4 is Kwai Leonard. Obviously, Kwai Leonard he's having a fantastic season on a fantastic team. Probably the second favorites or second or third favorites for the title. Would you agree?
The Lakers. The Clippers. Yeah.
And
well, maybe not now. Maybe not now.
Yeah, maybe not now, but on paper.
Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah. If they're all clicking, if everyone's clicking, then definitely.
And he hasn't really missed a beat from his heroics from last season. Really, he's averaging career highs in points, shooting the ball extremely efficiently, and he's obviously always a problem on the defensive end, and that hasn't changed really at all.
Yeah, with me, so I've got Kawhi at my 3. So with Kawhi, I feel like the load management thing has been quite prevalent. So that's why I kind of had to penalize him a bit.
Okay.
Well, putting him at 3 isn't penalizing him too much, but he has continued to show that when he turns it on, he is still that dominant player.
Yeah.
And because if you just look at those big games, a game against Dallas when Luka was really like showing out in this season, and then they just completely shut him down and showed out. Obviously, the Lakers game to start the season and the Christmas game.
Yeah,
he's shown that he can turn on that play, like in a similar way to LeBron. I feel like Kawhi has taken like a radical version of what LeBron usually does in terms of coasting during that regular season.
Yeah,
but he has shown in those moments that matter. But that does go to a problem that the Clippers have, is that they get up for certain opponents, whereas the Lakers have just gone out to dominate every team. The Clippers seem to pick and choose when they want to turn that on, and that's why they haven't developed that chemistry. But I feel like Kawhi is still that player that, to be honest, in terms of just talent, well, not talent, but he is still that reigning champion right now.
Yeah, and when you talk about effectiveness on both ends of the court, I think he's probably the best two-way player in the league. In terms of just,
I'm not sure.
Actually,
I feel like someone I have above him might have taken it from him.
Yeah. But he is he's the archetypal two-way player. He can do everything on offense, do everything on defense. So quiet for maybe a little bit harsh, but my number 3 might surprise a lot of people, but I have gone with Anthony Davis at number 3. Did you give your 4, by the way? You gave a 4, right?
Yeah. My 4 was Luka, my 3 was Kawhi. We kind of switched around our order because I had a few players above that you were talking about.
Yeah, so I've gone with Anthony Davis at number 3.
Okay, give me your case for AD at 3.
Well, it ties into what I said earlier when we were talking about him for your list. I think the impact he's had on the Lakers is, we knew he was going to have a massive impact coming to the Lakers, but it's just been remarkable. It just looks like 2 different teams, like with one.
See, I have to come in a bit there because you got to add context to that, because if you look at that LA team last season in LeBron's first season, if we put it into context, the Lakers before LeBron got injured were 4th seed. Of course, a lot of teams were tied for 4th. Yeah, but they weren't struggling to a high degree, and then LeBron did go on to miss probably like quarter of the season. Yeah. So it's kind of hard. It's almost, and LeBron has come back better as well. So of course AD is added to a lot of that, but I don't feel like that is too much to do with AD bringing up the Lakers to a high point as much as it is LeBron picking up, and also their whole team having more of a winning mindset. Because last season there was a lot of turmoil going on. There was a lot of different young players that were not too committed because they were like, why should I be committed? I might be gone by mid-February now or end of the season. There was a lot of drama going on with that team.
But you have to say that Anthony Davis has had a lot to do with that change of mentality as well. Because as soon as you get Anthony Davis on your team, you think, okay, we can.
I just feel
now one of the best teams in the league automatically.
It gave them. They knew they were like ordained with a season where things mattered. There was actual hope for a championship.
Yeah.
But I feel like any player that we had in the top 6, joining that team would have had the same impact.
Okay. I don't think I agree with that.
I can't be mad. I can't be too mad.
Because I think.
Wait, you don't think if they traded for if they weren't able to make that trade, and they'd signed Kawhi instead, as there were rumors about. You don't
Obviously,
think that would have had the same
Kawhi. I
impact?
do think Kawhi could have a similar impact, but
Yeah, I know. I'm using
because on the defensive side,
Well, yeah, Luke.
they're going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to be like.
Oh yeah. Okay, to be fair,
I'm talking about both
AD,
sides.
AD has brought AD as a defender has brought a lot to that team. Yeah, for sure.
On both sides of the ball, he's contributed so much, and to the best team in the West, I can't overlook that. I know this might be high for a lot of people, but for me, he's a top 5 MVP candidate for me and a top 3 player in the league. So that's my reason. Who's the other 3? Kawhi, right?
Yeah, I had Kawhi.
Okay.
But to be honest, yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
I don't have too much wrong with that.
And then
our top 2, I think our top 2. There's not going to be anything too controversial there.
But maybe the order might be controversial. Who do you have at 2?
LeBron.
Okay, yeah, I also have LeBron. I thought you might
obviously
for a spanner in the works, but
Of course, LeBron has dominated this league for several years.
Yeah.
His game speaks for itself. We know that. I mean, more often than not, whoever wins MVP each year, we're expecting LeBron to be playing in the last game of the season, and we're expecting him to be putting up a fight, whether he wins or loses. So he's definitely has had a role in the league. In that
conversation, always.
And whilst I don't agree with people saying he could be MVP every year because he doesn't quite treat that regular season as as important, but he definitely is in discussion for best player of the year every year.
Yeah.
He's had an MVP season. It's just a shame that Giannis has had a better season.
Yeah.
And he's definitely had a great season, and obviously it being his 17th year his career. I
was going to say the way he's been able to, he's always been a great playmaker, but averaging a career high 10.6 assists, the most number since Magic Johnson on the Lakers, I'm pretty sure. That the way he's been able to transform his game in that regard at such in his 70s,
he's reinventing himself.
Is
so late in his career. It's amazing. I've not seen a player that's had this long of a prime, really.
Yeah, and we may never see it again.
It just shows, it just goes to show his work ethic.
He really is just a freak of nature, literally. And then number 1 on our NBA players list has to be Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Has to be Giannis.
There's no way you can look past 30 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists in 31 minutes per game. You cannot look past that on the best team in the NBA. There's no way.
That 31 minutes is just it's insane, and I don't think enough people pay much attention to that. They blow teams out. They had a season last year that they had. He had a historical season last year and got better.
Yeah.
Like, it is just scary for the league.
He's even taking a step forward with his jump shot as well, which is causing a lot of problems for teams. And also, when you speak about Giannis, you have to talk about defense. He's almost like a Swiss Army knife on defense. He can do everything. Block shots at the rim, guard you on the perimeter, close out on shooters because of his insane wingspan. He's
incredible versatility on both ends.
Yeah.
The only thing I do feel is that their dominance in the regular season, not just overall, but in individual games, like speaking to his 31 minutes per game, which is I can't even overemphasize how incredible that is.
Yeah.
Because I've got if you look at even the six man of the year candidates like Dennis Schroeder, he plays less minutes than most six man.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Why?
But I feel like the fact that the way that they win, the nature in which they win in blowing out teams has been a problem because it hasn't given them the reps in the clutch that they need to separate themselves when it comes to playoff series that are a lot more slow paced.
Yeah. What are your predictions for the Bucks' chances in the playoffs? How do you think they're going to go? Do you think they'll carry over their form, or do you think because they're quite
this is another thing that goes towards this dynamic of lockdown and of the bubble now, and how a lot of the teams that there were a lot of candidates of teams that were definitely progressing to a point where they were getting into that championship form. And I mean, a lot of new teams are created this offseason, a lot of new duos. And you've got the Bucks, who are a returning team from last year, from the success that they had last year, and they've stayed the same, kept that chemistry. The Lakers, who are a new team, they've got that chemistry as well, which is pretty impressive. But those are the type of teams. There are other teams that are a bit lower down, but those are the type of teams that I feel like are going to thrive because they're already securing their identity in how they play. So I feel like that's going to work to the Bucks' favor. Is the fact that they know what they do. Everyone knows their roles. It's pretty clear. Giannis is that clear head of the snake. They've got good coaching and all of that. So I feel like that's going to help them. They've got a few threats even in the Eastern Conference though. Yeah. Which we can get into on another day. But yeah, I feel like they'll break through to the finals this year. I don't know about how we'll go in the finals.
Yeah. I agree. I do think they'll make the finals, and depending on how their pieces are firing, I do think they could be a real problem for whoever they meet, whether that's the Lakers or the Clippers or someone else. I think if they're all firing, they're my probably title favorites. That might be a stretch, but for me, I think Giannis is just incredible output, and they're probably my title favorites.
I feel on paper and their production, I feel like they are probably the best team in terms of how they work together. Yeah. Maybe they're up there with the Lakers, but I just feel like there's certain situational things that come with the playoffs that they're not prepared for. That showed last year against Toronto. Yeah. That showed in different moments in terms of strategy against Giannis. There was a game earlier this season against Miami, which they showed to be quite a tough matchup for them because bodying up on Giannis, and whilst the front office have done a really good job of putting around pieces that fit Giannis's game. Yeah. But the problem is they don't really have too reliable of another player that can really take over. Yeah. And whilst Giannis is making strides, I don't see him as that as a Kawhi type of player in those moments. Yeah. Because I don't feel like he doesn't have to be. I don't feel like your best player has to be the go-to person. Because if you look back in those Kobe Shaq championships, Kobe had that kind of role, and you need Giannis to have the Shaq type of role as a play style. So I feel they're gonna need Chris Middleton to step up if they're gonna really challenge if they're gonna be a legitimate threat to win the title.
Hopefully he can. According to Bleach report, he's the 10th best player in the league. So.
Yeah, and then also with that, as impressive as it is with Giannis averaging 31 minutes a game, that's gonna have to shoot all the way up because once you start getting to those finals moments, but is he prepared for it? That's the thing. Question. Because if you look your best player in a championship team, if you look at these LeBron years, LeBron plays full games when he gets to those moments. He plays 44 plus minutes, 48 minutes. Yeah. So he's gonna have to be prepared for that.
I'm sure that won't be a problem with Giannis, but saying that the fast-paced, always-on style of basketball that he plays, he could burn out quicker than most. Could burn up quicker than most.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run. I say quickly. Let's just run back through our list. So at 10, I had Russell Westbrook. Who'd you have at 10?
Let me get back. 10, I had PG/CP3. Wow,
I think you have to go one way or the other, mate.
CP3.
Okay, cool. 9 had Joel Embiid.
I had Jokic.
I had Jokic at 8.
Russ at 8.
I had Dame at 7.
AD.
I had Harden at 6.
I had Harden as well.
I had Luka at 5.
Dame at 5.
Kawhi at 4.
Luka.
AD at 3.
Kawhi at 3.
LeBron at 2 and Giannis at 1.
Okay, let's quickly switch over to our NBA awards ballots.
Yeah.
This won't take too long because we've kind of alluded to a few of these anyway in our rankings.
Yeah, okay.
So
MVP. I think we all know who the MVP of the league is going to be.
I feel like anyone
actually, a lot of people on ESPN don't know it.
Yeah, there's a lot of
ex-pros don't know it.
To be honest, from what I've heard, it seems like who we've got is going to win pretty convincingly. But it feels like every year, midway through the year, there'll be a consensus for who's winning. Yeah. And then they'll just want to throw someone in.
Yeah, to create a storyline.
Like kind of argue with it, to create a storyline. Even though I feel like, anyway, we might as well review. I think it's pretty obvious. We have Giannis. Yeah. I feel just from start to finish, he's just continued to dominate. Yeah. They were on pace for 71 wins.
Hasn't really missed a beat the whole season. Like, he's on the best team in the NBA. I don't think there's any way anyone could look past Giannis, really.
His stats are just historical for those 30 minutes he plays per game. Yeah, it's just insane.
We do have to mention LeBron here, though. He's my honorable mention. I'm guessing it's yours as well. I mean, the way he's been able to control the offense isn't anything new, but he's done it at such a high level this season that
really committing to being primary point guard.
Yeah, and his dynamic with Anthony Davis has provided very, very fruitful results for the Lakers.
Yeah, he's having a lot of fun having that type of player that he can just feed, and it's really playing to his strengths for sure. And
you could see why he was tapping up Anthony Davis for all these years, because he must have known that they'd have this relationship, and they do, and it's worked perfectly for the Lakers. Okay.
Last season was a good sacrifice. Yeah. For what they've got going on right now.
Defensive player of the year, who have you gone for?
I've got Giannis again. I've got him.
I've also gone for Giannis.
Continue a bit. With me, because obviously the other candidates would be Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert. Yeah. But I'm just someone from playing and from watching. I'm just someone that I value versatility. Yeah. And I feel, but not just versatility, but honest. Perimeter defense really stands out for me a lot more than as important as interior defense is. And Giannis just really combines the two. He's a really good, his help defense is incredible. Yeah. He's got good rim protection. He can switch out. I mean, we throw around guarding 1 through 5, but he legitimately guards 1 through 5 with his wingspan is incredible. He just got all the tools.
The way he can close out on shooters is crazy. He doesn't even have to be that close to them. And he can just put an arm over and then it's contested. For my honorable mention, I went with Anthony Davis. I think it was hard between him and Rudy Gobert for that spot, but I think what you said as well, versatility. I think Anthony Davis is a much better perimeter defender than Rudy Gobert. Yeah. Obviously, interior-wise, there's no one better than Rudy Gobert, but AD, he's not quite as good as Giannis in his mix, but he is very good and very elite. And as I said before, the way he's transformed the Lakers' defense has been amazing.
Yeah, AD's he leans more towards interior. Giannis leans more towards perimeter, and I just feel like perimeter defenders really affect the game a lot more.
Yeah.
In terms of like he really goes out there and disrupts our whole offense.
But I feel like this award is definitely a lot closer than MVP. This I can see
closer.
Going either way to any of the top three.
Definitely.
Really.
100%.
Right. Rookie of the year?
Yeah. I feel like it has to be Ja. It has to be Ja.
I've also gone with Ja. I mean,
19
Zion
games is not enough. It's not enough.
He doesn't have a big enough sample size, really. I think we all know, and everyone in the NBA knows who Zion is, what he's going to do in this league. But from 19 games, for me, it would be impossible to give him this award because Ja has done it for the whole.
And people are trying to give the comparison of that year between Joel Embiid and Malcolm Brogdon, but I don't think it compares because, I mean, I would have been fine with Embiid winning that year. But the thing is, if you have two players that are at the same level for the whole season, so Malcolm Brogdon wasn't performing as high at the level as Embiid, but Ja is still having an incredible season. People acting like Ja is just getting it by default because of
17.6
Zion's injuries.
Games, 7 assists on 50% shooting, 36%.
I feel like, Ja would still be a tight race if they were both, if they both played the same amount of games. So I don't know why people, that's all I have really.
With Ja Morant, if you look at where the Grizzlies were predicted to finish at the start of the season, you know, they were predicted to be one of the worst teams in the whole NBA. I think it was 20-something wins they were predicted to get. And a combination of him and Jaren Jackson, they've been able to propel them to the 8th seed and potentially enter the playoffs.
As great as Zion's been, he's one of the rare number one picks that's really inherited like a great situation.
Yeah.
He's been put into a perfect, he hasn't been put into a losing team. He's been put into a team that's really tailored towards his success.
As well.
And there's no pressure for him to do too much. He can gracefully be moved into a spot that fits him with great coaching.
Excellent pieces around him. He's got JJ Redick. He's got
so he's got people around the same age that can grow with him.
Yeah.
So the Pelicans as a whole,
they look good.
They're going up and up. They're another team. They're another young team that has a great.
But similarly, I say the Grizzlies are another young team that are up and coming. Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, Dylan Brooks.
And Josh Jackson's playing decent as well.
They gave him a chance, and he's repaying it.
And did they just signed Justice Winslow as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
They got him the trade for Andre Iguodala.
Yeah. Okay, most improved player. This could be a tight one.
This one, I reluctantly came to one, but I feel like there's a few players.
I had two standout names, but there is a few players, but I had two standout names. Yeah. Who is your most improved? Okay, I'll go first. Okay. I've gone with Jason Tatum. I just think Jason Tatum was always touted in the media as the next superstar in the NBA, but his stats never really showed it. For the first 2 seasons of his career, he put up good numbers, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't numbers that jumped up off the page to you and made you think, wow, he has to be an all-star lock or he's one of the top players in the NBA. But this season, he really has taken that leap that everyone thought he would take. He's up from 15 to 23 points. He's really become the focal point of that Celtics offense. Now that Kyrie's gone, and when Kemba came in, you thought it'd be Kemba, but JT is really taking the reins off of him.
Yeah, I feel like Kemba's just happy to be on a winning team.
Yeah, literally. So
he's just happy.
First time All-Star this year. Good on both sides of the ball. Shooting very efficiently as well. Look, he is having an amazing year. And for me, he's my most improved player.
Yeah, see, with me, I feel like if the season started in 2020, I would go for Tatum as well. And I had to stop myself from recency bias from picking him. I feel like he has ended the season at a better point than the other candidates. But I still feel like I'd have Brandon Ingram and even Bam ahead of him.
That was my honorable.
Just because of
Bam as well. Okay.
Yeah, Bam. Maybe I'd have Tatum second. But I feel like Ingram is just from the start. He's taken over. I feel like to just call on his scoring would be that, like, it's not just about that. It's the role, it's the overall role he's taken. He's a lot more confident. You can tell he's really, like, his playmaking, like, all the way down the board, what he's been able to do in this new environment away from the Lakers and away from the pressure. I feel like these players, a lot of the players on the Pelicans have, like, really, like, they've really excelled away from the pressure of being a top draft pick for the Lakers. And they've been able to just, like, play basketball, just play their game.
It really was a blessing
really
for people like Ingram. Really, he's now in a system that suits him perfectly, and he's in a situation where he can be the main scorer. And I think with the attributes we all knew he had, you know, he was compared to KD. You know, it fits him perfectly to be where he is. So that he was my honorable mention.
But this is one of the.
It was a toss up. I did change it. I did.
I kept changing mine. But then I feel like with this in Defensive Player of the Year, to be honest, I have no idea who's going to win. Yeah. And I wouldn't be mad with either.
I do think Brandon Ingram is favorite for most improved player, because I feel like it's been, as you said, it's been.
Tatum came over too late.
Set for the whole season. It's been set for the whole season.
Because at the start of the season, because I had quite a few Celtics on my fantasy team, so I really saw their progression. And at the start of the season, it was kind of like a struggle because before, at the start, Gordon Hayward was kind of leading them a bit in scoring and things like that, and then he went down, which allowed the other wings to, like, come up. Yeah. And I feel like they were kind of all it was kind of like four players. It was bizarre. Like, all players were, like, averaging, like, the same amount of points. And it took a while for, like, Tatum to really take a hold of it and, like, separate himself. And it did seem like it was going to be a problem because you do need that player to stand up, and so that you know, like, kind of the totem pole, and you know who to give the ball in different moments. And Tatum's definitely separated himself. Yeah, I feel like Tatum has the best potential as a player.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of this list, but just in terms of the season in its, like, entirety. I feel like you have to give it to Ingram.
Right, sixth man of the year. I think that this is pretty clear, personally. But actually, maybe not. I've gone for Dennis Schroeder. That's my sixth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw someone give, but then a lot of these people that give their ballots and lists, they're all based on, like, analytics, which I mean, but yeah, I feel like you have to go with Schroeder. Biases aside, CP3 and Shea have been part of the best, like, lineup in the league, especially in the clutch. Yeah, and Schroeder's just had such a big part in the success that OKC have had, who in a team that were expected to just completely drop off.
Yeah, he's been such, like, a spark plug for that team. He's such a quick, agile player that when he's coming up against those bench units and even the starting lineup, he does play a lot against other starting lineups because he's averaging 31 minutes per game. So,
I mean, he was a starter in Atlanta. So yeah.
So, but he's just such a problem on offense. And he's
had so many clutch moments as well.
Yeah, he's got a really well rounded offensive game. Maybe not so much playmaking, but in terms of scoring the ball, he's got it all, really. So I don't think you can look past Dennis Schroeder, really.
We're in agreement.
But for my honorable mention, if I had to name someone, I would go for Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah. I don't know why people have Lou. I feel like people just put Lou Will in as default. Yeah. But yeah, Montrezl Harrell, definitely. That's who I'd have as well.
So, who is your coach of the year? I think there's only one answer again. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like a few coaches. I feel like a few coaches. If you go by, like, normal years, you know, they go for, like, because obviously the Bucks were on a historic pace. Yeah. And then you've got the Lakers as well. Yeah. Improvement from last year. But yeah, I feel like we should be in agreement here. Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse,
is who I've got.
I've gone with Nick Nurse as well.
He's just dealt with. There's just so many layers to it.
He's dealt with losing Kwai so easily. Like, they haven't missed a beat. They haven't dropped off at all, really. They look like...
And not even just losing
at
Kawhi,
times.
he's basically lost every player at some point
Yeah.
of the season. Every time I look at they have one player out, another player out. They had Kyle Lowry out for a few games, Siakam out at one point, Marcus Gasol, Serge Ibaka. Like, he's just dealt with it all, plugged and played different players up from the G League, and they've just continued. They're at a better point win-wise than they were at this point last season.
Yeah.
After losing a top 3, top 4 player.
Yeah. And expectations this season for the Raptors weren't high at all. Like, they, having lost Kawhi, they weren't projected to be a top 2 seed in the top 2, top 3 seed in the East, but now they look really good coming into the playoffs. So,
and it's an unprecedented loss as well, because I'm pretty sure Kawhi is the first player to leave in free agency a team after being Finals MVP.
Yeah.
But then also they didn't replace him. I mean, it's not like the Celtics who replaced Kyrie with Kemba. There was no replacement, not even in role players. Like, they just straight up lost him.
And my honorable mention was Mike Budenholzer. He's managed to improve the Bucks team. I mean, who had a great season last season, got to the Eastern Conference Finals, but it looks like he may take them a step further this season. So all credit to him. And they look like they're on pace for 70 wins. So he's done a great job there. But Nick Nurse, I think, is just a level above. Who did you have as your honorable mention?
Budenholzer, definitely up there.
Billy Donovan?
Just on a winning. Yeah, Billy Donovan. I mean,
it once disrespected.
Trust me,
now...
once disrespect as an OKC fan, I was pretty frustrated with him over the last few years of not being able to put together like a good offensive like set, and
it was kind of just Westbrook and Hope, isn't it? Like,
but the thing is, I think he's thrived with this situation, not only having Chris Paul as kind of an on-court coach and being a coachable person, but also having he's kind of got like a college type of team of young players, and that's kind of what I think he's thriving with, because he was a very successful, like, he came from coaching at Florida. He was a really successful coach there, and I feel like he was struggling with the dynamic of coaching such big stars and KD and Westbrook, which meant that he wasn't as hard on them as he needed to be and as authoritative as he needed to be. And I feel like just having a team that has low expectations and is just willing to just do what he, like go for what he says, I feel like that's helped him a lot. Yeah,
it's helped him a lot. Okay, so that's all our award predictions. We'll go through them one more time. So MVP, Giannis for both of us, obviously. Honorable mention, LeBron. Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis again. My honorable mention was Anthony Davis. Who did you have an honorable mention for defensive player?
Defensive, yeah, same. Yeah,
Anthony Davis.
Same.
My Rookie of the Year was Ja Morant. Honorable mention, Zion. Another award that I think will decide itself. Most Improved Player. I had Jason Tatum. Josh, you had
Ingram. Brandon Ingram, yeah.
And your honorable mention was
Tatum, yeah.
And my honorable mention was Brandon Ingram. So,
yeah.
Six man both had Dennis Schroeder. Honorable mention, Montrezl Harrell. And Coach of the Year, Nick Nurse, with Mike Budenholzer as the honorable mention. It seems like, to me, looking back at that list, a lot of... It might be one of the most clear award races we've seen for ages. Like, a lot
especially
of them
with
just decide themselves. Like,
I feel like their decision to have the ballots finished up for before this the resume of the season has really made it simple, because there were quite a few races that would have got a bit more murky if they were to happen at the end, because you had I didn't personally think LeBron was closing on Giannis, to be honest with you, but there was that opinion going out. But then also that Rookie of the Year thing, because even though Zion hadn't played many games, I feel like if he was able to close in and capture that 8th seed, I feel like that would definitely go to his favor.
Yeah, definitely would have helped his credibility a lot.
Propel him up. Yeah, so So yeah, I feel like it's a lot more clear cut now.
Yeah, but those are award predictions. Some of you may disagree, some of you may not. But now we're moving into our trivia section of the podcast. And the way we've decided to do this is this week, Josh has prepared a question for me. He hasn't told me what it's about or anything. So I'm going into this completely blind. I'm a little bit scared, but we'll see what happens. And we're going to do this as a weekly competition. So next week, I will ask Josh a question and vice versa. And by the end of the season, we'll see who has the most points. Right, Josh, I'm ready as I'll ever be. Let's get into it.
This is going to test your NBA history knowledge.
I could be outed as a complete fraud here.
Yeah. Not a lot of it is history, though, depending on how long you've been watching for.
Okay.
We'll see. I mean, I'm pretty new to watching as well. Okay, so the question is one question you're just going to name this list right now. That's going to be the last 20 MVPs. So this is going back. Okay. Because we're talking about our ballots. So the last 20 MVPs all the way back to the 99 season.
Okay, cool.
So, okay.
Should I do this under a timer or something? Or just... Nah.
If you're taking too long, I'll rush you. But
okay, cool.
If you're taking too long, I'll rush you. But,
Right, cool. 18-19.
I'll take it,
Yep.
Yeah.
18-17 was Harden. Yeah. Then you had Westbrook. Does it have to be in order, by the way? Do I have to say it by season? I don't have to say it by season, do
I? Yeah. You have to say what season it was, but you can't. Obviously, if you don't remember one, you can skip it.
Okay.
Or you can, if there was a player that went back to back or something, you can just say he was that for them 2 seasons before that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
KD 13-14. I know I've missed some there, but
wait. Which ones have you said?
So I've said Giannis.
Yeah.
Harden. Westbrook.
Yeah.
Is that in order?
KD.
Is that KD?
Yeah. Yeah.
Steph Curry, back to back.
Okay, yeah.
So it goes, all right.
Oh, give me the years.
Giannis, 18-19. Harden, 17-18.
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook, 16-17.
Yeah.
Curry, 15-16. Unanimous.
Yeah.
Curry, 14-15. Wait, no. Curry, is it 14? Did I just say
14-15. 14-15, yeah.
So that's his first one, 14-15. Not Westbrook. Durant, 13-14.
Yeah.
Fuck, who was 12-13? LeBron? Was it LeBron?
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
It's LeBron. Or was he 11-12? I know you won it one of those years.
I think I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to say if you're right anymore.
Okay, I'm going to say LeBron.
You just keep going
LeBron,
and
12,
I'll see what you get.
I'm going to say
okay.
LeBron 12-13 and 11-12.
Yeah, so you keep going and then at the end, you can you'll tell me again.
10-11 was obviously Derrick Rose. Obviously, I can't forget that.
Okay.
10-9. I don't know this one. I want to say LeBron. But it's not LeBron. But is it LeBron?
Is it?
See, look, I didn't watch basketball these times, so I wouldn't know this.
Okay. It might start getting a bit difficult.
I might just say LeBron for the whole 2000s. No,
I wanted to do Finals MVPs. I feel like that would be easier, but
we've started now. We started now. So
no. I'm saying. I was going to say that for later on when we get to our Finals podcast.
Maybe I'll give that to you next week. 10-9. Who was good that season? I'll go with LeBron. Okay. 08-09. Shit. Fuck.
This isn't looking good for you, bro.
I need some lifelines. It's like phone a friend or something.
Okay.
This is I did not think the question would be this hard.
Okay. All right. You can ask me a question, you get a half point.
Okay. Who? Okay. Who was the
It can't
best?
be like what team did they play for?
I was gonna say. I was gonna ask who was the best team in the league at the time.
Sorry, which year are we on?
08, 09.
I can get up this. 08, 09. The team with the best record in the league that year was the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay. It's got to be LeBron then. How many MVPs? LeBron has won 4 MVPs.
Yeah.
So I've said him 4 times. So now I can't say him again. But I think he won it before I've said it. But okay. I'm going to say LeBron 08, 09.
Yeah.
07, 08. Shit. I have no idea.
This is kind of difficult.
This one, 07, 08.
It's not difficult in terms of it's a well-known player, but
okay.
I wouldn't know. It's kind of hard to know when he won, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Kobe. I'm gonna say Kobe.
Is that your
07,
pick?
08.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
06, 07. Was that the Steve Nash year or was that the year before? Steve Nash won it twice, didn't he?
Yeah, he went back to back.
So I'm going to say Steve Nash 06, 07, Steve Nash 05, 06. Okay. 03, 04, I'm going to say Dirk.
All right.
03, 02, I'm going to say, I don't think, I'm going to say Kobe. No, Kobe only won 1 MVP, you know. Fuck. How many MVPs did Tim Duncan?
I didn't even know about this. One. Nah.
What, 03, 02?
Yeah. This one's quite mad. Well, these two are quite. I didn't even know about these two.
Shit. Mad in terms of what though?
Do you want a question? I mean, do you want a hint?
Yeah, I'll take
half a
a
point.
hint. I'll take a hint.
These 2 years are back-to-back MVPs.
Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
I'll say Tim Duncan. Is it? No, you're not. Don't give away. Don't give away. All right, I'm saying Tim Duncan. So for those.
I just thought, is that your.
Yeah.
Is that. Right.
So it was what years? 03, 02 and 02, 01.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going back all the way to 1990. Shit.
No, not 90. No.
Oh,
last 20 MVPs.
Oh.
So 2000 and then 99. Just 99. Is it to make it 20 years?
So 01, 2000. Oh, do you know what I've missed? No, I think
you've got to know this one, bro. You've
Shaq.
got to know
Is
this
it
one.
Shaq.
You've got to know this one, bro. Okay, will you go with Shaq?
No, because I'm not confident now.
Well, I'm just asking you.
I've got to know this one. Why do I have to know this one? It's not a ball player.
Oh no! I don't mean it in that way.
Okay.
Anyway, just give a confident answer, bro.
I'm gonna say Shaq.
Okay.
And 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Who was 99, 2000? Fuck. Oh, do you know who has an MVP who I haven't said? It definitely wasn't this year, but it's Kevin Garnett. It's not this year. I know it's not this year, but Kevin Garnett definitely has an MVP. And I've missed him out. I know that. This year, it is... Can I say no answer? I don't have an answer.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, okay,
I'm going to skip
ahead.
that one.
All right. Okay, so that was the last one. So I'm gonna tell you.
I've done horrible.
I'm gonna give you one last. I'm gonna give it one last chance. I'm gonna go through. Okay, so you had Giannis last year.
Yeah.
Harden.
Yeah.
Westbrook.
Yep.
Curry back to back.
Yep.
KD.
Yep.
LeBron back to back.
Yep.
Derrick Rose.
Yep.
LeBron back to back again.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had. Who did you have?
Kobe, I think.
Oh yeah, you had Kobe. You had Steve Nash back to back again.
Yep.
Then you had
Dirk.
who'd you have? Yeah, Dirk. And then you had Tim Duncan back to back.
No way, Tim Duncan won it back to back. Replace
No, who did you have?
replace the second Tim Duncan year. So the one before Dirk, put Kevin Garnett.
So Kevin Garnett at 05 or 03?
The one before Dirk.
Which
The one before I said Dirk.
So you had 2006, 2007, and 2005, 2006. You had Steve Nash, and then you won 2000. Then right before that, you want to have Dirk.
3-4 was Dirk.
Okay.
2-3 Garnett. 2-1 Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
2001 Shaq.
And then you said no answer for that last one. Okay. Yeah. And then which one did I gave you? You
didn't give me any hints. What are you talking about?
Nah, I gave you the hint for the Cowboys one.
Give me any hints. He's lying.
Yeah. Best record in the league. All right. So we'll take away that last year. So let me tell you who did win. So obviously we know all the way back to, you got everything up to LeBron's doing Miami, right? D Rose.
Yeah. I got everything up to D Rose.
No, you got everything up. Actually, no, you got everything up to Kobe. Everything up to Kobe.
Yeah. So what year was Kobe?
Then.
Okay.
I mean, like, you got him right as well.
Okay.
In 2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, Dirk won in 2007.
Shit.
Then Steve Kerr went back to back. Steve Nash went back to back.
So I got that right?
No, because you got the wrong order, because you bumped Steve Nash up.
Oh, so I said Steve Nash was before. I said Steve Nash.
Steve Nash's were right. Okay. Steve Nash's were right before Kobe's, but you forgot about Dirk being at that point.
So I got one of Steve Nash's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you got
So after Steve Nash, who did I say?
Then again, Kevin Garnett is. Damn it. Kevin Garnett was right there. And then the funny thing, I accidentally said that you said Tim Duncan back to back, because he actually did go back to back.
No way.
I had no idea. That's why I said this is crazy.
Days.
That's why I said it was crazy. I had no idea. Yeah, 2003, 2002, Tim Duncan went back to back. I had no idea.
Okay.
And then I can't believe you don't know this. Allen Iverson in 2001.
Oh, no, I wouldn't have.
That was the finals where he beat. Oh, really?
I wouldn't have got
that. That's when they took one game from the Lakers, who won every other game of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was proper into AI when I first started watching.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and then Shaq in 19.
Yeah, I knew he was one of them years. All right, how many points I get then?
You got 15 and a half out of 20.
15 and a half out of 20. That's sick. I did not think I was doing that well. So 15 and a half.
Are we giving out a pass?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
All right.
All right, cool.
So I was gonna say the point. Yeah. The points are what they are, but I don't know. You'd have to find a similar length thing for it to be a fair. I think for my next week, but okay.
Yeah, I'll do some research. I'll do some research.
That was decent.
So that is the trivia round. Let us know what you think of that round. I'm chuffed with that, honestly. But
I feel like you did good overall, but it's just a bit shocking you didn't know about that AI yet.
Nah, that's I don't know. I like AI, but I don't know much about it. Okay, now looking forward into the resumption of the NBA this season. I'm sure we're all very excited for that. We're going to do some predictions of this week's games. So, Josh, you said you had some notable games lined up.
Yeah, so we got the LA game. That should be a big game. It seems like the start of the season started with it, and the start of the resumption started with it.
Yeah.
We got Blazers Grizzlies, which that could be a matchup for the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Bucks Celtics could be a Eastern Conference Finals. Mavs Rockets is a potential matchup for the first round of the playoffs as well. Rockets Bucks could be a good game to test that small ball lineup, and then Brooklyn Nets versus the Wizards, which is looking a bit empty with all those players that decided to sit out.
Okay, so let's start with the biggest game, the Lakers and the Clippers. For me, it's hard to look past the Lakers. I mean, as we said earlier in the show, they look like a very cohesive unit in the bubble. The Clippers have struggled a little bit, so I'm going with the Lakers win. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, just looking past, because they've got three players out of their top 3 or 4 out of their top 6 players out for this game. But even above that, just the cohesiveness of the Lakers has just stood out with teams like the Bucks and the OKC and other teams that haven't seemed to drop off in terms of their chemistry.
Yeah.
And just being such a high talent team, I feel like they've treated this whole season, they've given the whole season importance and really gone for every game, and had more consistency than the Clippers. So I don't feel like the Clippers care too much about this game. I mean, the Lakers probably don't either. But I feel like the Lakers will take this game.
Yeah, and I feel
honest, the Lakers are trending up.
I feel like the 1 seed is pretty much wrapped up. So it's not a case of the 2 teams fighting for this 1 seed. I feel like the Lakers have that kind of in the bag. So that element is kind of, I think, taken out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Clippers just kind of are in a position where they need to make sure they don't slip.
Yeah.
So that they meet, because they don't want to meet the Lakers before the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, but having said that, if they stay where they are, they've got a tasty first-round matchup with the Mavericks on the card. So
that's dangerous for them, definitely.
If they, I was gonna say if they slip to 3, they still got the Rockets. So either way they go, it's going to be a tough matchup for the Clippers. But we both agree Lakers win for that one. Next game you said was
Blazers Grizzlies.
Blazers Grizzlies, the fight for the 8th seed. I'm gonna have to go with the Blazers here. I think they've as we also said before, Nurkic is back. They've got some few more pieces coming back into the lineup. I just think they'll have too much for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are a good team, don't get me wrong, but Dame, CJ, Nurkic, they should be able to blow this Grizzlies team out of the water, I think.
I don't know about blowing them out of the water, but I definitely feel like the Blazers will. They can and probably will win this game.
Yeah,
I think the Grizzlies are good enough as a unit to hold on to that 8th seed, at least going into that play-in tournament. And I feel the Blazers will probably be the team that will be able to build up enough momentum to catch up to them and force a play-in. Obviously we've got Zion starting up practice again, so he might be able to do something about that. But the Blazers they're a much more experienced team. They've got the best player out of both teams.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've got the edge.
And you've got to remember that this Trailblazer squad has been together for a few years, so they've got experience in these high pressure games, which the Grizzlies have been a new young exciting team. They don't have that, so that could play into the Trailblazers.
They've been playing free with no pressure, but as the pressure. It's a lot easier to play with no expectations, but as they build up,
how you don't know how they're going to handle it, really, and that's a question they have to answer. So if they win that 8th seed, next game,
Bucks Celtics. That's a potential Eastern Conference Finals matchup.
This game looks very tight on paper. I mean, the Celtics finished the last part of the season very strongly. Jason Tatum, as you said, coming into that ridiculous form. But the Bucks really haven't taken their foot off the pedal, really. They've just been constantly on everyone's throats. So I would have to go with a Bucks win. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bucks will win this game. but I feel like the Celtics, if they continue on the trend that they had, they're becoming that type of team like the Heat that could challenge the Bucks in a playoff setting, in a playoff format.
100%.
They're the type of team that Giannis seems to have trouble with, because even a couple of years prior, obviously before having Budenholzer and the revamp of the team, they were the team that were able to take out the Bucks because of the way they play and the fact that they have a lot of wing defense that are able to disrupt Giannis at the point of attack, which kind of gets in the way of forcing his teammates who are kind of there to just space the floor into actually playmaking, which is a problem for them.
So we both agree Bucks win, yeah? Cool. Next game. What's the next game, Josh?
Mavs Rockets.
Mavs Rockets. Wow, an offensive masterclass. Hopefully. This is a tough one to call, I'd say. Oof. You go first in this one.
I've probably watched one or two of the. Actually, I've watched a similar amount of both teams in the bubble.
Yeah.
Obviously, before the bubble, I've watched quite a few. But I feel like the Rockets have a better defense, which is, I feel like it's easy to say, you know, just based on like reputation that the Rockets don't play defense. It's a D'Antoni-led team with Harden, you know. But I feel like they've really stepped up. Even though they're small, they don't play small. Or like they have, even though they have shorter players, a lot of their players are quite tough and they're quite strong. They're a physical team, and I feel like that's the type of team that kind of disrupts Luka. So I feel like they'll get the win. And I feel like they'd be a good matchup for them in the playoffs as well.
I will disagree with that. I think the Mavericks will come out on top in this one. I just think, you know, the small ball lineup has worked so far. It has, but I think someone like Porzingis, a 7'3" center who can also stretch the floor, will cause real problems for them.
The thing with that is that he doesn't really play. He's basically just a 7'3" shooting guard, though. But he's not really equipped to like bully. He's not really equipped to take advantage and exploit their weaknesses, really.
Yeah,
because I don't see them.
Coach would maybe ask him to do more of that, seeing as, you know, he's going to be coming up against someone like PJ Tucker.
Yeah, maybe in a playoff series, but I don't see them going outside of their regular playing, their regular play style, just solely to focus on that weakness. I feel like they just play their game, and I feel like it'd go to their detriment if they started, you know, trying to exclusively play through Porzingis rather than how they normally play.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Okay, next game.
Rockets Bucks.
I'd have to go with the Bucks again, honestly. I just can't really look past them. The team with Giannis is always going to have an advantage, really. So I can't really look past the Bucks on this one.
I feel like that's the opposite to what I just said about Porzingis. Is a team that they are literally, that isn't outside of their play. Giannis is that attacker, and they are going to play that, and
no one's getting out there with Giannis on the Rockets. Like, it's just not going to happen.
They have no rim protection. Giannis
he might drop a 50-piece, like, honestly.
He might.
Yeah.
Well, if he plays more than 30 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. maybe even still in.
Yeah. Okay. Nets Wizards.
Nets Wizards.
I literally have this with a laughing emoji right next to it because I mean, you've got Jamal Crawford. Maybe he might go off a bit.
It's going to be looking like
it seems like
one of his Seattle mixtapes out there. That's what it's going to be looking like.
But yeah, this matchup just seems like a product of our times right now, and of like a lot of players not feeling too comfortable being in a bubble, whether for social issues or for health issues.
Yeah.
So
it's just a matchup that on paper when the fixtures are announced, it looks like it could be interesting, but all the events that have happened in between this game,
both teams have kind of deteriorated.
Yeah.
But as someone I looked when I first started watching ball, Jamal Crawford is one of those players that I just love to watch. So
Yeah,
hopefully
it should be fun.
he
It
gives
should be a
something.
fun game, but
Yeah, because even during the season, the Wizards have just been a higher scoring team.
yeah,
Like they don't play any defense, but so it should be fun.
should be fun. Okay, I think that's all we've got for today. Thank you everyone for listening. It's our first go, so if there's any technical difficulties or anything, I'm sure we'll get better at that. With time, just be patient. Thank you, Josh, for joining me today. And
Pleasure.
we'll be back sometime next week.
Yeah, we will be.
Yeah.